and drama performances. And one of the highlights would be that the ability of women and girls to contribute is hindered by exclusion from participation and decision-making in disaster risk reduction and management processes, among others.
It is indeed high time for us to recognize that women and girls are not necessarily always just victims, like I said earlier on, but rather they live in harsh and unfavorable conditions of vulnerability to nature, particularly those that are relating to environmental hazards and climate change. Their role is that of active participants and, of course, participating for rights as agents of change, proactively contributing to the well-being, development, security, and stability of families, communities, cities, and nations. They are part of the solution rather than being part of the problem.
In a statement to mark the day, the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, who is also the chairperson of the National Disaster Governing Council, believed there is a need to empower women and girls to fully contribute to some of the critical areas of environment and natural resource management if we are to ensure meaningful, sustainable development.
The United Nations Security Council, some of us may remember, has recognized through its resolution called Resolution 1983, which was of 2011, of course, the year 2011, that humanitarian crises exacerbate the risk of women to HIV/AIDS, sexual and gender-based violence, and that indeed all member states are obliged to take positive action to protect and indeed empower women and girls to prevent these situations, particularly in the context of humanitarian assistance, especially so too, including in times of conflicts.
Vice President Jai Saidi assured her office's continued commitment to prioritizing and incorporating as well as integrating disaster risk reduction with a gender perspective in advancing the cause of the Gambian leaders' vision of making the country and its people resilient to the negative impact of climate change and other human-induced hazards. Mama J, Grts.
A host of local statisticians are participating in the first statistical capacity building program. The training designed to generate a viable system of tourism statistics is seeking to attune the Gambia's tourism statistics with internationally recognized standards. Ibrahim Ajata has more on that.
Go to some countries, when they let their statistics, their tourism statistics, go into a difficult situation, in other words, they're not very good, what tends to happen at the top level of government, of course, is that any very good ideas often in tourism are easily argued against by other parties who, of course, are also interested in development for whatever sector they have, and in effect tourism then loses out. So I think tourism, when it's presenting its case to the very top level of government, it needs to have very good statistics which everybody will accept, and this is really what we're trying to achieve here.
That's David Markiewicz drawing attention to the imperative need of workable statistics and data in the development of tourism. The expert statistician and financial analyst from the United Nations World Tourism Organization is in the Gambia to help capacitize and hone the skills of national statisticians under a fresh tourism strategy looking to soar up the growth of the sector in order to raise its contribution to the gross domestic product. 20% is the envisaged goal, pushing officials to harness all gainful resources they can garner.
And which we consider very important. For quite some time, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture had engaged the United Nations World Tourism Organization to collaborate with us in terms of examining the issue of statistics, particularly tourism statistics, because as a ministry we are very much concerned about how much tourism contributes to GDP and to employment.
The main thrust of this scheme is bent on developing a dynamic system of tourism statistics, or STS, intended to pave the way for the shaping of effective marketing initiatives, infrastructural development, and the diversification of tourism products. This is why it has become so crucial to instruct national statisticians on recommended UNWTO standards.
This is a result of the positive response by the United Nations World Tourism Organization, which has graciously agreed to extend technical assistance to the Gambia with a view to evaluating the current state of tourism data and statistics in the country under its National Statistical Capacity Building Program. Therefore, this training program is indeed very appropriate, relevant, and timing. The timing could not have been any better, given the fact that the winter season is steadily gathering momentum.
The two-day program will, among other things, explore best practices endorsed by the UNWTO, as well as evaluate local procedures utilized in measuring industries under the tourism sector. The initiative is further expected to ease production of additional data to be integrated in the system of tourism statistics. Perhaps only a few people understand the indispensable benefit of a healthy data in giving impetus to national development objectives than Sakum Boj, the chairman of the newly created National Statistical Council.
In this regard, the tourism statistics has a lot of bearing in national economic development. But however, my role here as chairman of the council, National Statistics Council, is to lay the emphasis on our role, what we do in terms of generating statistics in this country. We have here, the council formulates national statistics strategy and reform plans and coordinate their implementation among the Bureau under this agency. That's the GBOS, Gambia Bureau of Statistics. In pursuance of the subsection 1 of the Statistical Act also, we set out the policy guidelines for the operation of the Bureau, determine the key objectives and targets, approve its strategic and operation plans, monitor its performance against agreed targets.
The tourism and hospitality sector is certainly up and going, with a growing diversification making this scheme all the more significant. Yet an energetic interface and increased interinstitutional coordination, rousing efficient productions of tourism statistics is definitely required to advance the vital and ever mushrooming sector that can contribute even more to the country's GDP. Ibrahim Jata, GRTS.
Well, the next operation, Clean the Nation, Settle, is slated for tomorrow, Saturday the 13th of October 2012, throughout the country in observance of the International Coastal Cleanup Day. This cleanup day, the release dates will start from Banjul Ferry Terminal to Katong, Bara and Farafeni. A news release from the National Environment Agency reminds governors, Seifolu, Alkalolu and councillors of the presidential directive, urging them to organize and coordinate the national cleanup exercise in their localities. NEA solicits the support, cooperation and active participation of the general public, government and private institutions, CI companies, youth organizations, Gambia Transport Control Association and the Tipper Garage at Bakote. The dispatch ends. Well, time now to take our first break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the international news. Stay tuned then.
3G internet service at the lowest price ever.
3G AfriCell brings you the most affordable 3G internet bundles ever.
Get your AfriCell Extreme 3G internet service for as low as $15 is only.
AfriCell 3G bundles starting from 50 megabytes up to 12 gigabytes.
12 gigabytes bundle for a tariff as low as 5 buttons per megabyte.
And all bundles are valid for 30 days.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service for as low as $15.
To subscribe, please dial 120 and choose from the available 3G bundles.
For more info, call 113.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service.
For as low as 5 buttons per megabyte, stay connected to AfriCell's 3G network.
AfriCell.
When we say Extreme 3G,
it is truly extreme.
Welcome back. French President Francois Hollande has made a stop in the Senegalese capital, Dakar, in a bid to deepen ties between the two countries. And fresh clashes between supporters and opponents of President Mohamed Morsi have broken out in Egypt